Hello, welcome to this update for North America. So let's just see what's happening with this severe weather plus the tropics here. So let's see. First, the severe weather. Today's July 1st. So we have this light risk in the mid-Atlantic, spots of Virginia into Maryland, DC, spots of New Jersey into Pennsylvania as well. And there's this big marginal risk from Louisiana to Maine and spots of the plains as well. So let's see, scattered strong to severe storms are possible across parts of the mid-Atlantic to the northeast this afternoon and evening. An isolated severe storm threat may occur in parts of the high plains. So be careful in those areas. So stay safe. There's like for tornadoes less than 2%, so nothing crazy. Wind to 15% for some damaging wind to those storms, and there's some hail just in the plains, some 5% hail. So be aware in those areas. There's this marginal risk for July 2nd from Oregon to Canada across the northwest, and this marginal across the Midwest as well. So there's like 5% wind threat in those areas. So be careful, and some hail in the Midwest and less than 2% tornado. At least scattered storms are possible across a large portion of the continental U.S. on Wednesday. Couple severe gusts may accompany stronger storms portion of the northern Rockies and upper Midwest into central Michigan region. So be careful in those areas. July 2nd. Still for July 3rd, in portions of the northeast, a severe storm or two in the northern plains. And all this green you see here is scattered thunderstorms possible. In all these areas, there's a few thunderstorms possible, so be aware. Scattered storms capable of large hail and severe wind gusts are forecast across the northeast on Thursday. Isolated severe wind gusts are also possible in the northern plains. So be careful in those areas Thursday as well. So here we we do have today for like the east. Where's the east here? So shows like the mid-Atlantic, those areas. This is the her model. Shows alright a few storms in Tennessee and in Kentucky. This goes and some stronger storms this afternoon in Virginia, Maryland, northern North Carolina, even spots of the southeast, some storms this goes, but especially in Maryland, into New Jersey, some stronger ones in Delaware as well. So be careful in that section, some damaging winds. So Wednesday, this goes still shows into tomorrow morning. A few storms remain, and tomorrow afternoon possibly a few more storms. So be careful those areas today. There's like some max wind gusts does show some strong gusts. Those storms, especially like into Delaware, spots of Maryland, and southern New Jersey, and a few storms in the southeast, slightly stronger. So stay safe in those areas. The Cape shows in Maryland even to 2,500 joules per kilogram, close to 3,000 in a couple of spots. So there's a lot of Cape in those areas for those storms. Be aware, be careful. In the south, a lot of Cape, but most of the storms will be further north. But there'll be some storms there as well. And in the East Coast, more than 1,000 joules per kilogram. So be careful in those areas. And yeah, so and some spots further south are quite humid as well, like in the mid-south, some 70s dew points. They're close to 70s near the ocean, the mid-Atlantic as well. So there's plenty of humidity. But here, like the herd is the significant tornado parameter, and today's less than 2%, so it's not even worth seeing this. But let's just see it to make sure. So there's like 0.7 in Canada there in Ontario. So just be aware, but nothing to be concerned about. Then a few spots like zero point 0.4 in the northeast, but like very little, and shows like. This is Tuesday, so like this evening shows a few spots of storm relative validity, slightly more in central Ontario, and a few more spots there. But especially earlier this afternoon in the mid-Atlantic, it doesn't show too much of storm relative validity. So especially like the lapse rates are very low there. The mid-level lapse rates, especially later in the evening. Let's see here, still they remain remain low. So there's not too much buoyancy. There's cape and humidity, but the rest is kind of absent. So this will mainly be a damaging wind threat in those areas and some stronger storms with lightning. So be aware in those areas and stay safe. Now here for like this excessive rainfall, there's until 12C a slight risk in many areas there right now, but the actual day one today is a moderate risk for excessive rainfall in parts of Maryland into Virginia, Baltimore, spots of DC into Tennessee, into Northern Virginia and Pennsylvania. So be careful in those areas. Stay safe from flash flooding because this year there are instances of flash flood in those areas. So be careful. And the slight risk goes all the way down to Alabama, and there's also slight risk in Texas and New Mexico. Some excessive rainfall, be careful. Day two, a slight risk, Virginia and North Carolina still, so still be careful. Some heavy rain, a marginal in the south, spots the southeast. Day three, a slight risk starts in Florida. The moisture is picking up, and then shows a marginal in the north and spots the west into Texas as well. Day four marginal in Florida, so I think day three is the heaviest day in Florida. So, but we never know. There might be a moderate depending on how this goes. So, day four for July 5th, July 4th shows a marginal in Texas, still in Florida, and the Northern Plains, Midwest, still day five in Florida, to the upper Midwest. So be careful. Day one through three shows close to 3 inches in Florida, a few spots in the east, close to 2 3 inches. Day one through seven, it decreased a little bit from yesterday. Yesterday was like 10 inches showing here. Now shows just some 5 to 6 inches spots of Florida. But this can still cause flooding, so be careful. Those areas stay safe. More spots central to eastern Canada, in Quebec, some more rain. Spots in Mexico above 100 millimeters, many spots there. So be careful. In the Western U.S., kind of quiet except for the Rockies and more spots there. So stay safe in those areas. And right here, there's this hazards outlook, including this heavy rain in Florida there, and Texas to New Mexico and the northern plains too. But the heaviest will be in Florida, so be careful in those areas. There's like extreme heat in all these orange brownish areas here, so stay safe. The extreme heat still those areas, so be careful and like stay safe. There's some extreme heat risk still, like major spots of the west into the east, and even like a tiny spot there in Virginia of extreme, a few spots major to extreme heat risk. So stay safe in those areas and let's see here. Show like some major heat risk in the interior of the west today as well. More moderate, more spots there. Wednesday, more major heat risk in Montana, to North South Dakota, Texas, and a few other spots moderate. Thursday, and still in the northern plains. Be careful, the heat there moves east into the Midwest. By Saturday, July 7th, July 5th, 7th, 5th, July 5th, shows more spots in the Midwest there. Sundays going further east as that ridge moves east, and Monday still some major heat risk in the east. So be careful in those areas, especially those high temperatures. And high temperatures bring another thing with them. This critical fire threat shows so many areas of isolated dry thunderstorms possible from Arizona as far north as Idaho. So be careful with some dry thunderstorms in a spot or two. Shows isolated, so very isolated, but anyways, be careful because they have very low precipitation, a lot of wind and lightning. It shows this critical fire risk in Nevada, so stay safe and more dry thunderstorms washed into Oregon and California. So be aware of those areas. Day two, still some dry thunderstorms, the Great Basin and elevated fire threat, Washington, Oregon. So be careful. Those areas, those temperatures will really pick up, especially in the central plains to the northern U.S. and to Canada there. So the European, let's see for Canada first, some 30 degrees spots this afternoon, southern Canada. Then Wednesday it increases more, Alberta, Saskatchewan to 34 degrees, spots southeastern Canada quite warm as well, and more spots colder in the western Rockies. but shows some 33 Wednesday. During the night, it does lower down a little bit, especially further north, more spots, but still remains like above 20 degrees during the night by from Wednesday to Thursday and into Friday. So stay safe during the night as well. That heat shows some 33 degrees Friday, Thursday afternoon, July 3rd, spots in Manitoba and Saskatchewan, and then Thursday into Friday does get colder in the Western Rockies, a few spots further north as well, but does show Friday, July 4th, a few spots in Ontario and Manitoba, some 32 degrees, 31, and still hot there. Be careful, the heat, stay safe, and watch out for like wildfire danger too. So Saturday, this goes still kind of coldish there in the west, a few mountains in the northwest, but Saturday, July 5th, this moves further east into Ontario, Southern Ontario, Central Ontario, Manitoba, still some higher temperatures. Saturday into Sunday, Southern Ontario and Quebec, along with the major cities there to 33 degrees. So stay safe in those areas. Sundays, a little bit better, but still very warm in many areas. So be aware this goes. Alaska into northern Canada, quite warm as well in a few spots, except for those mountains. So yeah, stay safe in those areas. Be aware, especially the heat wave. Be careful some heat risk across southern Canada. But for the storms today, central Alberta into a finger through Saskatchewan, but especially in Alberta, shows some 70 km per hour possible and up to 2 centimeter hail of those storms in Alberta. So be careful. British Columbia, storm or two there as well, especially like day two shows more. So day two is actually today, I think day two. So be careful. Some hail and strong winds a few areas. Day two in the prairies shows like if I manage to make this work here, shows still in Alberta those areas some high winds and large hail possible in some spots. So be careful there. And Ontario for valid Monday, so day two. So for today, Tuesday, shows in central Ontario, some areas of 90 km per gus, up to 3 centimeters of hail possible. So be careful those storms and other parts of Ontario. For Wednesday, still a few storms possible. And Quebec, nothing. Night one, nothing. But day two, storm or two in Quebec, a few areas there. So be careful in those areas too. And here now, there's still this area of Florida now to 30% chance of formation next 7 days and still zero next 2 days. So shows like a frontal boundary expected to stall and weaken off the southeast U.S. coast late this week. Nerve low pressure could develop from the weakening front by the weakened Atlantic waters of the southeastern U.S. over Florida or the eastern Gulf. Some gradual tropical subtropical development could occur thereafter the low drifts a little, and yeah, especially if as it drifts further into the southeast coast of the Atlantic coastline, but still there are some chances in the Gulf too. So let's see here. This is the European model tropical storm probability. It just shows there near North Carolina and those areas. It's not showing much in the Gulf. Yesterday there was a huge uptick in the Gulf. It was showing like some higher percentages, but today shows more near the East Coast. This is the tropical depression probability now shows 5 to 10% in the Gulf and above like 10 to 20% near the Southeast Coast. Shows like there by July 6th, just north of the Bahamas and Florida, some 20 to 30% chance, and does grow that yellow like 30 to 40% chance by July 8th. So there's still a decent probability for something, but this is still quite low because like just 30% chance of tropical depression. So tropical storm, even lower chance. Just on the Eastern Pacific, still busy there, as you can see. So be careful in those areas. And there's Flossie there, Hurricane Flossie now. It transitioned into a hurricane overnight and and quite earlier than expected. So, and there's this area, possible more formation in the Eastern Pacific next 7 days to 40% chance already. So, enough low pressures forecast to develop 700 miles offshore southwestern Mexico later this week, environmental conditions appear conducive for some gradual development of this system. Thereafter, tropical depression could form over the weekend where moves generally west northwestward. So we also monitor this, but this might go out to sea. And Flossie, there are tropical storm warnings near the coast of Mexico now, as it's a hurricane, and but you bring some tropical storm conditions to portions of the coast, so be aware in those areas. And like some, it might continue as a hurricane until Thursday. So be careful in Mexico. Let's just read this here. Las bandas exteriores del huracán Flossie debían traer fuertes lluvias localmente a porciones costeras de estados mexicanos de Guerrero, Michoacán, Colima y Jalisco hasta el miércoles. Inundaciones, deslizamientos de tierra amenazan la vida, son posibles, particularmente en terreno empinado. Se esperan condiciones de tormenta tropical en porciones del área de aviso de tormenta tropical sureste de México hasta hoy, día 1 de julio. Entonces, las precipitaciones quizás 100 a 150 minutos en Michoacán, Colima y Jalisco. Precauciones con inundaciones, deslizamientos de tierra y vientos fuertes así, y el mar como unas olas muy grandes y corrientes peligrosas. Good, so stay safe there. The outer bands of Hurricane Flossie should bring locally heavy rainfall to coastal parts of Mexican states of Guerrero, Michoacán, Colima, and Jalisco throughout Wednesday. Life-threatening flooding mudslides are possible, particularly in steep terrain. Tropical storm conditions expected across parts of the warning area in southwestern Mexico through today. So stay safe in those areas. Be careful. And there's like still here shows the ensembles of the European near the southeast. It has some greater confidence now for something near the southeast coast, but it does barely shows anything in the Gulf. But it does show in the Eastern Pacific a lot of confidence as well. So yeah, be aware in those areas, and the rest is quiet. We might see something late in July, like trying to act up around here, but the rest is fairly quiet. There's some random tropical waves near Africa, but for now it's quiet. But we are monitoring this area near the southeast. So beware, the GFS is even less support, but further near the east coast. So be careful in those areas. Now let's just see these temperatures here that I didn't even show before. So there's like still in Arizona and California today, some extreme heat to 111 degrees, a few areas, some 90s and 100s scattered across the west. So be careful, especially in the lower elevations and the heat indices. So shows the valleys too, some 90s in the south, spots the northern plains. During the night, slightly less, but still like 90 degrees in Arizona during the night is extremely hot. So please be careful. For Wednesday afternoon, shows some 98 in Montana, even close to 100, some 90s, the plains, the south, still to 108 in California. So be careful in Arizona and those areas. Shows slightly less during the night, still some 80s in the southwest, some 70s southeast, and some like 60s in the plains during the night. Shows some 98 in South Dakota, July 3rd, some 100 in the southwest, and 90 scattered across the south and southeast, and 8 is on the east coast. So be careful in those areas. There are some 8s still during the night on July 4th, and some 70s in the plains during the night. So be aware. And then July 4th during the day, still to like 104, 106 spots to the southwest, some 90s, and there across the southeast, the plains, and the Midwest. So July 4th to July 5th, it will still be a warm night for fireworks in the Midwest, especially. Shows like 70s in the south as well, and 80s in Arizona. It's kind of colder in the high elevations, only in the Rockies. So like July 5th, still very hot across the south, the southwest, some 90s in Michigan, the Midwest, and some 80s in the Northeast. Still hot in the southwest during the night, a few areas further east to July 6th in the morning. And it does show here like when is this? So Sunday afternoon, July 6th, shows to 109 again, the southwest, and some 90s close to 100 in southern Texas, and 90s into the northeast area by July 6th. So beware, Monday, July 7th, still very hot in the southwest during the night, and the morning, some 70s during the night in other areas. And does grow to 110 Monday afternoon again, the southwest, 90s interior of the west, and some 90s spots of the east, southeast as well. So be careful in those areas. And yeah, so stay safe still, those above average temperatures and slightly below average day 8 through 14 spots of the northern Midwest. And then there's still a precipitation, the southwest still above average across the east in many areas and still continues days later. So stay safe in those areas and be careful, especially the heat, the storms, and everything. So yeah, stay safe. The rain accumulation across like industrial markers, eastern Canada, too, spots even central Canada, some storms, and southern Alaska showing a few fronts as well. Southwestern Alaska, more rain, and the mountains might have snow in Alaska, so shows like even British Columbia and too, in Yukon, a few spots of snow in the mountains in the next 5 days. So beware the Europeans random spots in the Rockies, but like the other models, barely anything. So we'll keep watching. But the GFS has in British Columbia and Yukon as well, Northwestern Territory. So a thing or two, be aware. There's these winds too, shows like near the west coast in California, spots occasion in northern Canada, Hudson Bay, and maybe in the plains slightly breezier July 4th. And yeah, but this changes all the time. And there's like later July 6th, northeastern Canada, and the European does show stronger winds in Saskatchewan July 5th and July 4th from low pressure in central Canada. So we'll keep watching, but stay safe. The image of the day is this big storm from 2022 that I saw. I might have shown this already. So yeah, stay safe, be careful.